Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And it's Friday. You know what that means. It means that it is time for the weekend update with SmackDown, of course, tonight. Ring of Honor Final Battle tonight as well. And then, of course, AEW Collision tomorrow night. It's a stacked weekend of wrestling, and I'm hyped. Not just because of those three shows, but also because of the panel who are here with me today. And let's kick things off with the head of opinions here at Wrestling Republic, Anthony Ricciardi. Anthony, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. I'm looking forward to doing the show. This is potentially our biggest audience with now Instagram streaming live. Excited to talk about some wrestling, and let's get to it.
Absolutely. Let's get straight into things. And yeah, you mentioned it when I on Instagram right now. Right now we got quite a few comments. We got Shad in the comments, believe it or not. But guess where Shad also is? Shad is also here. How are you today, Shad?
There's different variants of me. That's my Instagram variant, just commenting in the section. But I'm doing good. Instagram followers, all 70,000 followers of y'all, 60,000. Welcome to the show. My name is Shad Huda, and I'm ready to talk about wrestling. Let's get into it.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a fun show, that is for sure. And last but certainly not least, we have Carter Crisp. Carter, how are you today?
Ben, I'm doing good. I have been corrupted by the forces of Clark and Soul, and I love AEW, but I'm here to talk about all sorts of wrestling, and I'm excited. So to give my takes, good and bad. Cardi Cornette is not here to stop me, and hello to our big new Instagram audience. How we doing?
Oh, no, you've become a mark, Carter. I'm only joking, guys. I'm joking. But we do have a couple of people in the comments. Let's kick things off with Bobby Batito. How are you today, Bobby? As well as Numero 1 Superfly. I hope you guys are well. And let's kick things off the bat straight away by talking about the head of the table, the tribal chief, the man who is returning to Friday Night SmackDown tonight, Roman Reigns. I'm excited for this. Roman Reigns, he's been gone for quite a number of weeks now, but tonight he will return. But since he's been gone, somebody's returned, and that somebody is Randy Orton. And Randy Orton, of course, has unfinished business with the bloodline. And tonight, I think Roman Reigns is going to have to answer to, Randy Orton's concerns, let's just say. But Anthony, how would you book this one? What would you do if you had the pen right now?
Well, it's interesting. The first thing is the head of the table. I immediately think this is the only person that Chaos would be okay with being at the head of a table other than himself. But this is one of those rivalries that you can kind of run with because there's history. The Bloodline took Randy out, and Randy's been gone for a while. You've seen how many people Roman's gone through, and I saw something earlier today. He's 1,200 days as champion.
Wow.
So when you think about that and the people he's gone through and how many people are not in the company anymore that he went through. Randy provides him a fresh challenger leading into Mania, which presumably is probably going to, we anticipate it's probably going to be Cody. That would probably be the money pick. So I think there's going to be an interaction with him tonight between Orton and Roman. You have to at this point because Roman's limited on how many times he appears. So I think you got to do some interaction. To me, the smart play might be Randy either taking out members of the bloodline or sneaking up on Roman. But they could do a swerve there where, Randy takes out Solo and turns around into a spear from Roman. Everyone's expecting Randy to get the, shot on Roman. It may end the other way. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a build to Rumble because that's where this is headed. It's going to end. This is going to the Rumble. And you got to keep it intriguing because if Roman's not there, it's very tough to build anticipation for a match that's a month out. And the perception is Roman's not losing it. So you have to throw at least some doubt in here of going, wait a minute, would they have Randy do it? And then it's Randy against former pupil Cody? Would go that route? You have to throw that doubt in there, that possibility that this may not go how everyone's going. Yeah, this person's going here, that person's going there. This is the match. You got to throw a little intrigue in there. It's got to be unpredictable. Even if it ends predictably, as long as I have some doubt, as long as a fan has the doubt of going, wait a minute, that's all you need.
Yeah, all they need is for their, disbelief to be suspended, as we like to joke about. But no, I agree with you, right? Randy Orton, I think, needs to really be built as a threat to Roman Reigns. But listen, a lot of fans now, as we know, are quite smart at certain things, such as if you got the upper hand going into the match, you'll likely lose the title match because that's the way it's seemed to be for so long. So it's an interesting point you bring up. What happens if Roman Reigns gets the upper hand on Randy Orton? That would certainly throw a spanner into the works and just kind of muddy the waters and just, make you think for a second. Could Randy Orton be the one to take that championship? Oh, I'm excited.
The perfect example of this is going into last year's WrestleMania. Going into that night, we all expected Cody to have his hand raised. He was going to dethrone Roman. That's not how it ended. So, anything's possible.
It's true. It is true. We've got a couple of comments here. Firstly, Bobby Batito saying, do you guys think Roman Reigns will mention CM Punk's name tonight on SmackDown? Well, that is another name. We mentioned Randy Orton is back. Well, so is CM Punk. But CM Punk is on Raw. But will Roman Reigns bring him up? I think so, because CM Punk brought the name of the wise man up. I feel like they might plant those seeds tonight. I definitely think that is possible. Number one Superfly is expecting Roman Reigns to do his acknowledgement stuff, followed by Randy giving Roman an RKO out of nowhere. Then Nick Aldis just books Roman versus Randy for no reason at the Rumble. For no reason, for a reason, I don't care. I want to see it. I mean, there already kind of is a reason. They built the foundation of that feud.
What they could do is, we don't know what was in that contract that Randy signed for SmackDown.
True.
It could be the guaranteed he gets Roman at the Rumble. And maybe that's where, maybe he doesn't attack him at all and just drops the bombshell of going, I'll see you at the Rumble. They could easily do that too.
Nah, I mean, I think the crowd would be disappointed if they don't see either a spear or an RKO. I feel like they got to see one of the two. But
let's put it this way. He RKOs him, Roman's laid out, and then he makes the announcement, I'll see you at the Rumble.
Yes, that's what I want to see. That is the one. But now, what about you, Shad? How are you feeling ahead of the Tribal Chief's return to the blue brand tonight?
We the ones. I'm excited for it. I said it last time I spoke about SmackDown. I feel the novelty of having Roman on episodes makes it a lot more important. I share a different opinion than a lot of people in the IWC and in the wrestling community. It's okay. I think it's time for Roman to flex his muscles a little bit. He's seen a lot of marquee names pop up in WWE within his time being off of television. One, Randy Orton, obviously CM Punk. And I think it's time for him to make the people remember that he's the tribal chief. He's been on this dominant title reign. I think that is the core of where this initial promo will come into. We'll see the amazing entrance that we have. But I think he will step into the ring and he will address the people and he will address Randy Orton. The thing that I believe the twist that we can see it for is that Randy's whole initial return is to get revenge on the entire bloodline as an entirety. And I think that's very important for us to remember. I don't think Roman cares that he's going to beat the bloodline. As long as Roman still got the gold around his waist, I feel in the back of his mind, he can allow Solo and Jimmy be sacrificial lambs for Randy to destroy and attack. As long as he walks away within that Royal Rumble as he's done prior to the past. This isn't like a new storyline, something brand new, I'm saying, but he'll be fine. And I'm hoping that creates that initial friction that we will see within Jimmy Solo, where we'll see the crumble of the bloodline entirely, or maybe just the crumble of Roman Reigns leading the bloodline entirely. But tonight, I think Roman's going to have a promo. He's going to address Randy. I think Randy will pop out. I think they will. We'll get the first step to it. I don't know if we'll get the whole, altercation with them fighting, them setting up the match. We got a couple months to Royal Rumble, but I think we'll get to the first step. Hey man, we know the first ending of this feud, right? We gotta.
If I don't see an RKO every time Randy Orton is on my screen, I am disappointed. It's either him
RKO
giving an
on Paul
RKO or
Heyman.
somebody doing something to
It
him.
will be done on Paul Heyman tonight.
I'll take that. I'll even take an RKO on Solo Sikoa.
The lack of neck that Paul Heyman has will get an RKO tonight. So,
oh, that would certainly be something, and I'd like to see that. It's fun to speculate about Randy Orton on our screens again. It's something we haven't had the luxury of doing for over a year now. So for him to be back, it's so surreal. And somebody on our Instagram the other day submitted an anonymous opinion that the roster's the best it's ever been, and I don't quite agree with that, but it's the best it's been in a very, very long time.
A long time, for sure. Well, at least in the last 10 years, it's probably the strongest roster.
15.
Yeah.
I honestly think 15, you could argue. Because the roster right now, it is just absolutely stacked. I mean, even the mid-card. The mid-card is so talented.
Gunther is a mid-card champion, and he could be a heavyweight champion in any other year.
There has never been such a great amount. I'll say this. I don't think there's ever been in history such a great number of amazing wrestlers on the WWE roster. Because even now, their mid-card right now is just stacked with just fantastic wrestlers who could be, main eventers elsewhere in the world. Bobby Batista is speculating about an RKO to Jimmy Uso, and I'd certainly be down for that one. But what about you, Carter? What are your thoughts on this tonight? Roman Reigns, he's back. What's he gonna do?
Shad took my take, man. I was looking for that Paul Heyman RKO this whole time. I know. I mean, Randy. I was listening to the real Jim Cornette say this. Randy's looking good these days. He's looking big. He's hit the weight room. He's ready to go after the big title. I think he's the one to go after this. Roman is like the opposite of, as Cardi Cornette would call, indie-rific speed booking. This is like a nice turkey you're cooking in the oven for a really long time, and you're just going to feed him kind of the best wrestlers you have. And right now, I think it's time to give Randy a nice little rivalry leading into the Royal Rumble. And, me personally, being poisoned by the likes of Clark and Soul, I would have had the championship go to LA Knight in Saudi Arabia. But no, it's going to be a nice little rivalry with Randy. I think CM Punk, he's a little focused on NXT, and he's focused more on the other championship with Seth. So, but nice little rivalry with Randy. I'm hoping Paul's the one that gets the RKO, but we might see a spear going towards someone. But unfortunately, I'm not the writer for WWE, and Otis is not going to be the one to dethrone Mr. Reigns. So.
If Otis dethroned Roman Reigns, that would be certainly something. I mean, I'll be honest, not that title, but I wouldn't mind seeing a big men slapping meat title or something. Maybe just some meat. Meat, that's the prize. Some meat, some beef. How about that? You know, those bruisers fight for every week on Raw, because there is just that, you know, big man mid-card division now forming on Raw that's just really entertaining each week. I want to see Otis versus Bronson Reed again, but that's a side note. I'm not going to get carried away by that. You distracted me, Carter, see?
Me too.
But
me
no,
too.
I am going to have to, though, teach you why LA Knight cannot be a Universal Champion, because he's very simply too old. But that's a note for another day, right? Call me ageist all you want, Instagram comments. He's too old. We do have a couple of comments, though. Anyone wants Superfly saying Otis versus Roman, and Otis wins with a caterpillar and does some dancing after. That would be amazing. I agree, number one Superfly. Let's book it. Over on Instagram, we got _Vig Sagar asking, how long do you think Roman Reigns is going to show up now? Is it just a 1 week appearance or a multi-week one? I reckon it'll be, you know, he'll show up this week, then show up again in 2 weeks, and then maybe twice more before the Rumble. But, you know, we got a month and a half still until the Rumble. I reckon we'll get 3 more appearances after tonight from the head of the table. Acknowledge him. But now let's move on, and let's move on to elsewhere on Friday Night SmackDown tonight, because Austin Theory, A-Town Down, will be challenging Kevin Owens, the man who he hurt a couple of weeks ago. He's got an injured arm, Kevin Owens, but he doesn't care. He's still in this tournament, and he is coming for Kevin Owens. And he's coming for Austin Theory tonight. It's going to be a good match, this. But hey, Austin Theory is nowhere near as over. Well, I say as over. That's completely wrong. He was never over. But he's nowhere near, you know, as high on the card placement as he was 18 months ago. And I do worry he's kind of getting moved further and further down. But I think that trend will continue tonight, as I am predicting a Kevin Owens win via a stunner. Anthony, what are your thoughts on this one?
Okay, two very quick things. One, LA Knight is not too old. He's still 3 years younger than DDP was when he won the WCW World Title. And two, Chaos is going to have a field day with that soundbite of you talking about men slapping meat. The Kevin Owens Austin Theory thing, again, this, like you said, it is very predictable. Kevin Owens should go over. KO against Logan Paul at the Rumble is certainly a possibility for the U.S. title. It's a shame looking at Austin Theory, because I've been watching him from his Evolve days, and I was like, this kid's got something. You know, he's real young. He's got something. We've seen him for a couple of years now in WWE. I no longer feel that way. He's not evolved as a character or as a wrestler. It's the same thing over and over. They've repackaged him a bunch of times. I don't think he's salvageable at this point. And it's a shame, because he is young, but I think his best bet is he either needs to go off TV for a while, and they have to maybe try one last repackage that's completely different, or cut him off and let him go out to TNA or somewhere else and build himself up, and maybe bring him back like they did with Drew McIntyre. That's entirely possible what they would do. KO, I would like to see him feud with Logan, but again, I don't know if that's a situation where he'll ultimately get the belt. Like, I don't know where LA Knight falls in it. I don't know. I would think they would go Logan, LA Knight, possibly at Mania, because I do think LA Knight is the smart choice to give the U.S. title to, because he needs the rub probably more than anybody of these people. KO's kind of done it before. It is a pleasant surprise that this year we're not getting KO against Roman again, because it would have been the third time at the Rumble. So good thing Randy came back. Otherwise, that's probably where KO was going at this point. So yeah, I think it'll be an entertaining match. KO will make it work, but realistically, I wouldn't say it's exactly the most exciting of matches that's going to be taking place tonight.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you there, Anthony, and I also agree with you on Austin Theory. When I first saw him in Evolve back in the day as well, I think it was WrestleMania weekend. I want to say 2017, it might be 18. where I saw him for the first time, and I thought this kid, he was like so young then too, but he had
Yeah, it was
that
like
look.
18, 19, whatever he was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like he has that look, and I mean they threw him in the deep end a bit too early, I think, but I'm not losing hope yet. Like you said though, leaving and coming back could maybe be that solution for him. We got a couple of comments here. First, they've got one from Ramsey saying CM Punk is the GOAT, and CM Punk's name is bigger than AEW.
True.
I mean,
True.
that's an unnecessary. Is it? I don't
Well,
know.
let's put it this way. I think, based on just name recognition, how he's been around for so long, I think if you ask somebody that doesn't watch wrestling, you probably have a better chance if you say CM Punk or AEW, they might have an idea who one is and not the other. I think more people know who CM Punk is. Plus, he's done stuff outside the wrestling bubble. So maybe. I don't know. I'm too far in the bubble. I've been in the bubble too long. So I don't really fully know if people outside it would know.
I can actually say right now, right? I'm on Google search trends, right? Where you can compare different search trends.
Okay.
Okay. So for every 25 people who search something, who I guess would be searching one of these two things, 20 of them would search AEW, 5 of them would search CM Punk. So technically, he's not a bigger draw. AEW, according to Google searches, what people are Googling, AEW is the bigger draw in the past 5 years. This is
here's the thing. Wouldn't you search it on Google if you don't know what it is?
You would.
So,
yeah,
by theory, if AEW has more searchers, wouldn't that be more people wondering what AEW is?
Maybe, but if they're wondering what you are, it's still, they're learning about you. So it's still good.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't know how to read those statistics.
It's not an amazing reference, but it's the closest thing we have, I guess, to trying to figure it out. It's always a bit of a point of interest for me. Those things. Right there, we got the Wrestling Classic in the comments on Instagram saying he agrees. Hello, Justin. Welcome to the chat. And we got Bobby Petito on YouTube saying Kevin Owens should win tonight on Friday Night SmackDown. Well, now let's move on. Let's move on to the next match. Let's move on to Grayson Waller versus the NXT wild card for this tournament, which is Carmelo Hayes. I've been a fan of this guy for years. I interviewed him while he was still on the independent scene, and tonight he is showing up on SmackDown. I am hyped. However, unfortunately, I am predicting a loss because I think Kevin Owens is beating Austin Theory tonight, and then Kevin Owens will face Grayson Waller next week, beat him, and then face Logan Paul at the Rumble. But I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because Carmelo Hayes is him. He is that guy, and he deserves to be where he is on Friday night.
Oh, man. You might not like
Shad,
my take, then.
what about you?
You might not like my take.
Oh, no.
So here's the thing. All right, I think Carmelo Hayes is definitely deserving of this opportunity. I think he's put a lot of groundwork in. I think historically he's one of the more better North American champions we've had in NXT, and I think he's definitely building his way to where we are waiting for him to be on the main roster. I think tonight is very pivotal. It's a good litmus test for him to kind of see how he gauges the crowd, how he's able to work the match. And I think Grayson Waller is a great dance partner to have with, because I think Grayson Waller is kind of an underrated in-ring wrestler. A lot of people love his, character work as a heel, but I think he does his due diligence within the in-ring stuff, and they have chemistry working together prior in NXT. Here's my thing, all right, and it may be an unpopular opinion. With the storyline going on, throw my twos up, Tuesday night, NXT, and seeing who just won the Iron Survivor match and seeing how over he is, I think the better idea had been having Trick Williams be in this match. I said it on the last off the air podcast. I think Trick Williams, when he gets to the main roster, is going to be as over of a superstar as LA Knight. and I say that with the most confidence in the entire world. I think this guy has everything down to a T as a character, just like LA Knight does. He's got the whoop that trick that's gonna erupt in the arena once they get hold of it. He's got, just everything to it. And I think it would have been good off of a storyline purpose with everything going on with him and Carmelo Hayes, where he could have lost whoever Melo's gonna lose to Grayson Waller, and you can tell a story off of that going into Tuesday. But you could have had both of them two coming together, and you could have had an opportunity for Melo to accidentally mess up Trick to lose this match tonight, and that builds off of this whole storyline of Melo. Is he or is he not the one who attacked him, or can Trick trust him? I think that would have made more sense, but that's neither here or there. I just had to put that out there. I think it's going to be a phenomenal in-ring match. I do have Grayson Waller winning it because I think we're going to extend Kevin Owens going against both of this tag team between him and Grayson and Austin Theory going into the tournament, and I think it's going to be fun.
I absolutely agree with you there. I do think it's going to be a very, very, very fun match indeed. Trick Williams over Melo. I mean, that is controversial. You're certainly right there. It is controversial. But at the same time, I don't hate it because you are right. Trick's over right now. They could have tried to capitalize on that. Maybe they were worried that wouldn't wouldn't go to the main roster. It wouldn't translate quite as well. If people,
I have a scoop. It's not really a scoop. I'll tell you this, man. I heard people chanting "whoop that Trick" on Monday Night Raw when I went to DC, and he wasn't even on any facet of the card. People were just chanting "whoop that Trick" randomly. I don't know. I feel like people are tuned into him and they see that star in him, and I think, like I'm telling you, I bought my Trick Williams stock, and it's gonna rise sooner or later.
Well, let's hope you're right. I really do hope you are right because he does have a lot of potential. A big Trick Williams guy, and I'm really glad he is coming out of the shadow of Carmelo Hayes. Now Carmelo Hayes has to be careful not to fall in the shadow of Trick. But talking about things in the shadows, we've got the AEW Continental Classic, which I think a lot of people keep forgetting about. But this Saturday night, tomorrow night, Saturday night is alright for fighting. AEW Collision, we have got the battle for second place because Brody King will be taking on Bryan Danielson. The winner will be in second, level on points with Andrade El Idolo, despite the fact that Andrade will have a match in hand. It's all very confusing, Carter. In the words of Clark, please don't make me do maths. But still, this is a big match because whoever wins this, will they have an increasingly likely chance that they will advance to the next round. Brody King, Bryan Danielson, Saturday Night Collision. Carter, what is your prediction?
That is a fantastic context, Ben, because I didn't have the points, I didn't have the math set up. Now I know exactly where everyone sits on this. What I was going to say about this is going to be a great wrestling match. I mean, I'm pro indie, I'm pro Ring of Honor, gave us AJ Styles. I mean, Brody King versus Bryan Danielson. This is going to be a hard-hitting, submissions, Brody's kind of like Kevin Owens back in the indie days. He hits hard, he flies high. I mean, this is going to be fun. I mean, this is going to be a blast. But that being said, getting to my prediction, Mr. Bryan Danielson's got that, I think it's an orbital injury. He's got some sort of, some problem. And Andrade really took it to him in the face region in their last match. So I think Brody King is going to take the win, and he's going to shine as a singles wrestler. Our local PWG tag team champion is going to shine on Saturday. That is my official prediction.
I love how the Instagram's always been convinced that we're AEW marks, that we're independent wrestling marks. They've always said it to us, and we're like, you guys clearly don't watch the podcast, do you? And then the first podcast on the Instagram, Carter, you're an AEW mark. No, I'm only joking. But no, I do agree. I'm super pumped for this one. Bryan Danielson, Brody King, count me in. I am predicting a draw. And I know every single match this tournament, we basically just keep predicting draws again, and then predicting more draws. But I'll tell you why I'm predicting a draw, because I believe Eddie Kingston is going to win his match tomorrow night, and then he's going to come back, he's going to win it, and he's going to snatch that second place out of nowhere, and it's going to shock the world. And yeah, I do believe Eddie Kingston will finish second, then win the semi-final and advance to the final, where he will challenge Swerve Strickland from the Gold League. Clip that, do whatever with it. That is my take on it. We've also got Matt Williams shouting out your cousin, Carter, saying, Carty Carnet, you misspelt it, Matt, is hilarious. Absolutely is. Unfortunately, he's on a holiday today. He's not going to be showing up. Bobby Petito believes Bryan Danielson will win against Brody King tonight. And number one Superfly is saying that he expects Carmelo to win in the previous match we talked about, and then maybe lose to Bobby, so they follow up on that exchange last summer. Ooh, count me in. Take my money. Triple H, have my wallet. But now let's move on. And let's move on, Carter. I will stay with you because we're going to talk about Honor. We're going to talk about Ring of Honor. We're going to talk about Final Battle because it goes down tonight. Final Battle 2023. I've been a Ring of Honor, guys. I've been a Ring of Honor guy for years and years now, but if I'm being completely honest on the subject, I have never been less interested in it than I am right now, because the product, it kind of feels like AEW Dark to me, right? There's a lot of great wrestlers on it. There's a few great feuds on it, which we'll get into in just a second. But it's not that same Ring of Honor. But with that said, I believe this is going to be a great, great pay-per-view. The weekly show might not be there, but I think this pay-per-view will certainly be near the level of that. But let's kick things off by talking about the Von Erichs taking on the Outrunners in a tag team match. This, I think, will be, I think be a fun tag team match. Maybe might be on 0 Hour. Let's wait and see. Then for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, we got Wheeler Yuta taking on New Japan Pro Wrestling's Tom Lawler. Oh, that is going to be a match which I like. Don't know. I know some people aren't into the pure stuff. I personally love it. And then I said that Ring of Honor's had some good feuds. Well, this is one of them. Ethan Page versus Tony Nese in an I Quit match. Ethan Page, we all know how underrated he is. When he was on Dynamite, last week on Collision, last week against Kenny Omega, people got to see it. I feel like he's been absolutely critically underutilized in All Elite Wrestling. Well, tonight, Ring of Honor, he's got a chance to show whoever's watching that he is that guy. Ethan Page, Tony Nese, I'm looking forward to this one. Then we got El Hijo del Vikingo versus Black Taurus for the AAA Mega Championship, and the Mogul Embassy versus TMDK, again from New Japan, for the ROH World 6-Man Tag Team Championships. And then we got a feud which has been built up, but it's kind of been a bit stop-start, and that is Keith Lee versus Shane Taylor. But I am excited for it. They've got a lot of history between the two. And for the long-time Ring of Honor fans, well, this is going to be a treat. Then, in a Survival of the Fittest finals match for the vacant Ring of Honor World Television Championships, we have Dalton Castle versus Commander versus Carl Fletcher versus Lee Johnson versus Lee Moriarty, another guy who I interviewed before he got signed anywhere, versus a mystery surprise. Ooh, who could that be? We'll have to wait and find out. And then also we have FTR and Mark Briscoe facing off against Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, and Claudio Castagnoli in the Jay Briscoe Memorial fight without Honor. That one is going to be fun. And then, of course, in what I presume will be the main event, we have the only match on this card with a significant build. A really, really good build. And that is Athena versus Billy Starks for the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. Oh, I'm excited. I really, really am. Of course, Billy Starks became the minion of Athena. Well, now she's stepping out of her shadow, trying to do a Trick Williams, if you'd like, and become the new Ring of Honor World Champion. I'm hyped. This is a good card. A few random matches in there, but as a whole, it should be a fun show. Carter, what are you looking forward to the most on this pay-per-view?
So, Shad wanted us to pick one match. I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Ben,
Oh,
the
no.
match that I'm picking the match for you, Keith Lee versus Shane Taylor. You said you want to see some big boys
Yep.
smacking me. Let me tell you something. That's your match there, Ben. Keith Lee, Shane Taylor. I think that's the match for you. You're looking for that Bronson Reed freaking two men running around just
Grab
barreling
the
into
beef.
each other. Yeah, you should be excited for this one. But I think the match of the night is going to be the Blackpool Combat Club one. Just the history behind it. Just personally, the one I'm most excited for, though, is a gentleman I met, Mr. Black Taurus versus Vikingo. I'm going to go with AAA, Lucha Libre. I always love the Mexican style of wrestling. And, it's both hard hitting and high flying. That's what some people forget, that Lucha Libre does have a lot of strong styles parts incorporated in it. And I think it's just going to be a great wrestling match. I mean, Vikingo is always Twitter highlight reels. I'm always taking his 30-second clips and sharing them. He's always exciting, and Taurus is just fantastic. So I think that's gonna be the match for me. But I'm giving you the big boys, Ben. That's the one I think you're gonna be all riled up for.
Big, sweaty men slapping meat, as they say. We got Jay Maloney2181 on Instagram saying he's most looking forward to seeing Keith Lee as well. So clearly he's a fan of the Raw meat division as well. And we got a couple of comments here. Firstly, we got Bobby Batito saying he liked Tom Lawler when he wrestled at MLW, but he is looking forward to watching Athena versus Billy Starks and Keith Lee versus Shane Taylor. So Bobby Batito is also in the meat squad. Well. We've also got Shad here. Shad, what about you? How are you feeling heading into this? What are you most excited for?
So, I mean, it's a very good card on paper. I would be a liar if I said I'm a huge fan of the AEW version of ROH, but I think they've set themselves with a nice card, and I like all the talent on it. I'm definitely excited for Keith Lee and Shane Taylor, and more so because I love the work that they did as a tag team in the independence and the story that they can tell with that. But I got to give it up for the most captivating woman storyline in the entire umbrella that is owned by Mr. Tony Khan, and that is Athena, arguably candidate for Woman of the Year, and Billy Starks. The storyline between them of lead like Mr. Miyagi and Danielson and being the minion and Athena just kind of bullying her throughout it, and Billy being enough is enough and standing up on her 2 feet and not having it. I love it. And I love both women as professional wrestlers. They're great workers. Athena, bell for bell, is one of the best in the entire wrestling business. And Billy Starks, man, as much as we give a lot of credit to a young Nick Wayne, a Roxanne Perez, she was in that same fold, young free agents during that year who got
Yeah.
on the AEW and who has a lot of potential, who's very, very good for a girl as young as she is. And I think this is going to be the opportunity for her to get gold around her waist and for ROH and AEW to kind of build her as the next young star that they have in their women's division. So I think we got to give it up for them. They're the most telling storyline on the ROH brand. I think they're going to tear the roof down, and I think that's going to be a great match.
Oh, I could not agree with you more, Shard. And neither, I think, number one Superfly also agrees because he's saying it's time for Billy Starks to grow and dethrone her teacher and Athena to do something big over in All Elite Wrestling. I could not
100%.
agree more. Oh, you guys are getting me more hyped for this show now. Shard, we might not be fans of the ECW version I say ECW version, the WWE version of ECW.
ECW.
Which is the AEW's version of Ring of Honor. Right? We might not be a fan of that weekly AEW Dark Light. Dark Elevation like in the Honor Zone.
As a kid, I did enjoy the one night stand pay-per-view, so it could be like the same case with this.
Could be. I'm excited. They've knocked it at the park with all these pay-per-views so far, right? Weekly show, hit or miss. Mostly miss. But this pay-per-view I'm hyped for. I'm excited tonight. It's going to be a good night indeed. We got Bobby Petito saying Billy Starks is a young prodigy, just like Roxanne Perez. Could not agree more with you there, Bobby. But Anthony, what about you? Of course, both of us have spoken at length about the state of Ring of Honor, right? But tonight, what are you excited for?
For me, without question, it's Ethan Page and Tony Nese in an I Quit match. I have been a huge fan of both guys. I felt that both of them were very underrated. When AEW got Ethan Page from Impact, I was like, okay, that's somebody they could run with. My familiarity with Ethan stems from when WWE made the partnership with Evolve. I that's when I started paying attention to that. And I remember Ethan down there with a phenomenal feud with Darby Allin. Much better than the one that happened in AEW. The one he had in Evolve was significantly better. But in particular, I remember one instance when they first made the partnership with WWE. And there was an Evolve show. Triple H's music hit. The crowd, that small group that was in there, 500 people, whatever it was, popped. They're like, is Triple H going to come out? Ethan came out to taunt the crowd. I mean, there's little things like that. I know it's very MJF-esque, but people kind of forget because they don't know his history. Ethan's battled in an I Quit match before. He fought Johnny Gargano. He also was in a hardcore war with MJF in a dog collar match. I believe it was A1 in Canada. It was an independent promotion, I believe, in Canada that he faced him. But like, he's gone through these matches. He's done hardcore matches. And I really think he really needs that break. If Ring of Honor or AEW won't do it, we know he's buddies with Cody. He needs that stage, or maybe he goes back to TNA. Maybe they patch things up and he goes back over there to be part of the relaunch. We know he's a huge fan of TNA, and I'm not saying he's jumping, but realistically, this is somebody that really needs that spotlight.
It is an I Quit match. He could.
Yes. Tony Nese is somebody that we saw him. His greatest highlight in WWE was arguably his WrestleMania match with Buddy Murphy, which I really think was an underrated. That was the one highlight if you're going to highlight WWE's attempt at the Cruiserweight Championship. I actually saw, and Ben, I don't think you know this, I actually saw Tony Nese's last independent match before he went to WWE. It was at the 2300 Arena. It was for House of Hardcore. I believe it was. He took on Leo Rush. And it was an absolutely unbelievable match. And I remember sitting there with my buddy and going, no one's really going to know that this happened because it wasn't streaming. You know, they would sell it on a DVD. But, like, it was both of them together. I think, given the time, this will definitely potentially be a match of the night candidate when everything is said and done, because they definitely have the talent to make this work. That's the one thing I know we complain with the Tony Khan's Ring of Honor. In a lot of ways, like I said before, it's like WWE's ECW, or even when Vince took over NXT, the 2.0. The weekly product may not have delivered, but the pay-per-views still did. And I feel like that's what the story is with Ring of Honor, even though we're not really watching the weekly ones because they're behind a paywall and it really isn't worth it. They don't include the monthly pay-per-views. Obviously, they're including Final Battle tonight on Honor Club. But as a whole, I think, this show could deliver, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And very, very quickly, you mentioned your story about how you first, found out about Ethan Page. Well, I got a story about how I first found out about him. Yeah, he DM'd our Wrestling Republic account and asked us, I think, for a shout out or to share one of his posts or something. And I told him no. That didn't age well.
It is kind of funny because I was exchanging messages with him at one time as like collector of like figures and stuff, and he would go back and forth when he was in Impact. When he went to AEW, I stopped hearing from him and stopped responding to stuff.
Ethan Page, you think you went big time? Well, don't forget where you came from. But on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed on Instagram for the first time. We hope you enjoyed on YouTube as usual, Twitch, the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And of course, on demand on Spotify. If you're on there, please give us a cheeky 5 stars. Like, subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch. It helps us massively, more than you guys can imagine. Thank you to Anthony, thank you to Shad, and thank you to Carter for joining me today. We will be back tomorrow at the same time to talk SmackDown and maybe a little bit of Final Battle sprinkled in. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But thank you guys. We will see you tomorrow. Peace.